Welcome back to Broken Bobby's Transformation Page. If you are new to the page, in 1990 I became involved in the drug gang world. From 92 to '06, I spent a lot of time incarcerated. I tell these stories to let you know it don't have to be you. If you're young and thinking about trying something or you're figuring out how to get out, these are my stories of this lifestyle and how it affected me, and eventually I got out and transformed my life. So let's get into today's story. So let's jump right into today's video. Today I'm going to talk about what gangbanging was like in the 90s. This was a crazy period uh, between all the automatic weapons that were on the scene. And, I was in San Bernardino, and San Bernardino obviously has its main gang out there. If you know, you know. But LA was coming in big numbers. 18th Street, Eastside 13 were a few of the better known hoods that were basically beefing with the home team, if you will. And like it was on and cracking, it was on site pretty much. And I'll give you a few examples of some of the stuff that was going on at that time. If you like this sort of content, subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and tell me what your 90s experiences were like. Also, share the video if you know somebody that may like this sort of content. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so when I drop a new video, you will be informed. So we were living on, it was me and the wife, and we only had our first child. I want to say it was like 1993 sometime, maybe 94. Or maybe we had two children at this time. I think we had two. Maybe it was 90, sometime in 94, early 95. We were living on Sierra Way in these, I don't know if you'd call them apartments. It was like a duplex, but with 4 units. And we were right next to Gracie's Market. And there were a couple of homeboys that were living next door. Kunta and Shy Boy were living there. Now, which hood they were from, I don't know. They're from the west side, though. And they were beefing with 18 hard. On several occasions, there were shootings and stabbings going on, like literally right out there. Like we had front row seats for all of this stuff, And like there was I remember there was a carload of 18s that had come up the street, and they were throwing rocks at them and telling them to get down off the car, and for some reason they didn't. I don't remember exact details, but they had drove off. There may have been some shots fired from the car, and then the car took off down the street, and you could hear the gauge go off. Boom! And I remember seeing the excitement in their eyes. They were like, that was the homies that let off the gauge. Like it was the wild, wild west right there. There was another guy who got shot right across the street. And, I don't know what his affiliation was or anything, but like somebody just walked up and like he ended up getting shot like in the abdomen area. But like it was just so casual back then for stuff like this to happen. And this isn't to take anything away from the youngsters that are doing their thing now, but like this was a super active time. And on another occasion, my daughter Ramona was out front riding like a tricycle or something, and I remember seeing a guy riding up on a bicycle from Gracie's, which was the liquor store next to us, and he just starts shooting at these guys, Kunta and Shy Boy. And I remember grabbing my daughter and running into the house. She was like maybe 2 years old, 3 years old at the time. Like she was really small. So, I mean, it was just stuff like this was happening all the time. And like it was just off the hook. Like gangbanging was the pinnacle of gangbanging, in my opinion. Um, a lot of stuff has changed now. There, with the implementation of the three strikes law, it really changed things. A lot of the younger homies were getting life sentences over that three strikes law, and at that time in the '90s, like if you got 25 to life, you weren't coming home. There was a misconception that after 25 years, you might have a shot. Nobody had a shot. If you had that L attached to your sentence, you weren't going anywhere. And that really affected the prison system as well, because people knowing that they're not going home, if you have nothing to live for and no hope, what's to stop you from just going buck wild? And that's what was happening in there. I mean, it was, the amount of violence was insane. And now they've, so like, so many people lost their youth to, and it's not to say that they didn't deserve to go to prison, because, if you're running around stabbing, shooting people, that's typically what's going to happen to you, right? So, it was a really wild time. And, now, like I said, with the changes, lifers are coming home. And of the lifers I know that have come home, they're not out there doing nothing stupid. They've already given up 20 plus years of their life. They're not going back. So at first I thought it would change the streets a lot, letting these lifers out that, I've been living this crazy lifestyle for so long in the joint. But no, I think it's definitely a good thing. Most of these guys are in their late 40s to 50s anyways, and they know what it is to be in that hopeless situation. So yeah, I think it's a good thing for some of them to finally get home and realize what life is. But one thing I do want to say is, you don't have to make these types of decisions. I mean, if you join the gang, chances are this is the life you're going to live, and you're going to end up in one of these places and potentially never get out. So, and the same goes for the drugs. If you're out there using, they say it's a nonviolent offense, but there is so much violence attached to drug abuse and drug dealing and trafficking and stuff like that. If somebody don't pay, what do you think is going to happen to them? Like, there is, especially the higher up the food chain you get, if you're dealing with these big dogs that are, providing weight to people and you don't pay, you're going to disappear. So, I mean, it's what happens. There's a lot of violence involved with these drug charges. So, but, the thing is, if you don't go down that rabbit hole, then you don't have to worry about that. You can enjoy life out here with the rest of us. And, it's not always perfect, but it's a lot better than in there. One time my cellie told me he had hit on some drugs and had a bunch of canteen and stuff. Canteen had hit, and he looks at me and he says, "Does it get any better than this?" And I thought to myself, man, like, this is not the company that I need. Yes, it gets better than this, motherfucker. Are you stupid? But I want to say shout out to the gangs that I mentioned earlier. It's a much different time now. So if you're doing your thing, I salute you. For me, it was family, fitness, and freedom that helped me to achieve everything I'm achieving in life. And don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.